I stood at the altar, looking at Claire in her white dress, and for a moment everything felt surreal. We were getting married at a small vineyard outside Seattle, surrounded by friends and colleagues. But then I saw them at the back, standing awkwardly near the entrance. My father Robert, my mother Linda, and my brother Kevin. They were not invited. Claire had sent them invitations without telling me. The irony hit me hard. The woman beside me, the love of my life, was the younger sister of Stephanie, the person who destroyed everything 16 years ago. Before I take you back to where it all fell apart, I need to know something. Where are you watching this from? Drop your location, in the comments hit that like button and subscribe, because this story has more twists than you can imagine. Trust me, you will want to hear how betrayal, violence, and 16 years of silence led to the most unexpected ending of my life. Let me take you back to when I was 22 years old. I was working at my family's carpentry workshop in Portland, Oregon. It was not just a business. It was our legacy passed down through 3 generations. My father Robert had learned the craft from his father, and he taught me everything he knew. Every piece of wood had a story. Every joint had to be perfect. That was the standard in our family. My mother Linda handled the books. She was meticulous with numbers, always making sure we stayed profitable without sacrificing quality. My older brother Kevin was in law school at the time, but he still helped out on weekends. We were close back then. Sunday dinners were sacred in our house. Mom would cook pot roast, and we would sit around the table talking about everything from sports to politics to the latest project at the workshop. I was not rich, but I was happy. I had a purpose. My father would often put his hand on my shoulder and say, "Son, this will all be yours one day. You are going to make this place even better than I did." Those words meant everything to me. I had dreams of expanding the workshop, maybe hiring more craftsmen, taking on bigger projects. The future looked bright. Then there was Stephanie. I met her 2 years before everything fell apart. It was at a coffee shop downtown. She was sitting by the window working on her laptop, and when I walked in, she looked up and smiled. That smile changed my life. We started talking, and I found out she worked in marketing for a tech startup. She was energetic, beautiful, and she seemed genuinely interested in what I did. We started dating, and it felt perfect. She would come to the workshop after work, watching me sand down table legs or assemble chair frames. My family loved her. My mother would invite her to Sunday dinners, and Stephanie fit right in. She would help Mom in the kitchen, laugh at my father's old jokes, and talk to Kevin about his law classes. Even my father, who was usually reserved with outsiders, warmed up to her quickly. I was planning to propose. I had saved up for 3 months to buy a ring. Nothing fancy, but it was real, and it was from the heart. I had the whole thing planned out. I was going to take her to Cannon Beach, the place where we had our first real date. We had walked along the shore, watched the sunset over Haystack Rock, and I knew even then that I wanted to spend my life with her. But about 2 months before everything collapsed, things started to change. Stephanie began asking questions about the workshop's finances. At first, it seemed innocent. She would ask how much we made on certain projects, what our overhead costs were, how much we had in savings. I did not think much of it. I thought she was just curious, maybe trying to understand my world better. Then she asked to borrow money, $5,000. She said it was for an investment opportunity, something with her company. I gave it to her without hesitation. We were going to get married anyway, right? What was mine would be hers. But after that, she became distant. She would cancel dates last minute. When we did see each other, she seemed distracted, always checking her phone. I started noticing her taking phone calls outside, walking away when her phone rang. One evening, I stopped by her apartment unannounced. I heard her talking to someone, her voice low and urgent. "Do not worry, I will get more soon. He trusts me completely." When I walked in, she quickly hung up. I asked her about it, and she said it was just work stress, a difficult client. I wanted to believe her. A few days later, I checked our joint bank account. We had opened it together, planning for our future. $15,000 was missing. When I confronted her, Stephanie said she needed it for an emergency, something she could not talk about yet. She promised she would explain everything soon and pay it all back. I felt uneasy, but I convinced myself that if we were going to be married, I had to trust her. The breaking point came on a Saturday morning. I went to the workshop early because I wanted to get a head start on a custom dining table we were building for a client. When I unlocked the door and stepped inside, something felt wrong. The office door was open. It was never left open. I walked in and saw the safe. The door was hanging loose, the lock destroyed. My heart stopped. I opened it fully and looked inside. Empty. $35,000 was gone. That money was everything to us. We had been saving for months to buy new equipment, a CNC machine that would let us take on more complex projects. I called the police immediately, then called my father. Robert arrived within 20 minutes, my mother right behind him. The look on my father's face was something I had never seen before. It was not just anger, it was devastation. That money represented years of hard work, years of planning. The police came and started their investigation. There were no signs of forced entry from outside. The door had been locked when I arrived. Only 3 people had keys to the workshop: my father, my mother, and me. The detective, a middle-aged man with tired eyes, asked me routine questions. Where was I last night? Did I know anyone who might have access? Did I have any financial troubles? I answered everything honestly. I had been home alone the night before. No, I did not know anyone who would do this. No, I did not have money problems. But I could see the doubt in his eyes when I mentioned the joint account with Stephanie, when I admitted I had given her money recently. That afternoon, everything exploded. Stephanie showed up at my parents' house. I was there with my father, mother, and Kevin, all of us trying to process what had happened. When Stephanie walked in, she was crying. Her hands were shaking. She looked terrified. What happened next destroyed my life. Stephanie, tears streaming down her face, told my family that I had been pressuring her for money for months. She said I had a gambling problem, that I had been betting on sports online and losing badly. She said I owed dangerous people money. Then she showed them her wrist. There was a dark bruise, purple and ugly against her pale skin. "He did this," she sobbed. "Last night, when I told him I could not give him any more money, he grabbed me. He hurt me. And then he told me he took the money from the safe. He said he had to pay his debts or they would kill him." I felt like the ground disappeared beneath me. "That is not true," I said, my voice breaking. "I never touched you. I never gambled. This is insane." But Stephanie kept crying, kept talking. She said she loved me, that she wanted to help me, but she was scared. She was scared of what I might do. She begged my family not to let me go to jail, but she also said she could not be with me anymore. She could not be with someone who hurt her. My father stared at me. My mother covered her mouth with her hand, tears forming in her eyes. Kevin looked between Stephanie and me, his jaw clenched. "Zane," my father said slowly, "you need to tell us the truth. Right now." "I am telling the truth," I said desperately. "I did not do any of this. I did not take that money. I never hurt her. Dad, you have to believe me." But I could see it in their eyes. They believed her. Stephanie was crying, broken, vulnerable. I was the one who had access to the safe. I was the one who had been giving her money. The bruise on her wrist was real. Kevin stepped forward, and before I could react, his fist connected with my face. Pain exploded across my jaw, and I stumbled backward. "How could you?" he shouted. "How could you hit a woman? How could you steal from your own family?" My father grabbed Kevin, pulling him back. "Enough," he said. But then he turned to me, and his eyes were cold. "I do not know who you are anymore. If you needed help, you should have come to us. But you lied, you stole, you hurt someone we care about." "I did not do this," I repeated, tasting blood in my mouth. My mother was sobbing now. "I do not understand," she whispered. How did we not see this? How did we not know? Stephanie left after that, still crying, saying she needed time to think about whether to press charges. My family told me to leave. Just like that. 22 years of being their son, their brother erased in one afternoon. My father said the words I will never forget. You are no longer my son. Get out. I grabbed what I could fit in a backpack and left. I had nowhere to go. I ended up at a cheap motel on the outskirts of town. 2 days later, the police arrested me. Stephanie had filed a report for domestic violence. The bruise on her wrist was evidence. The missing money from our joint account, the withdrawals I had made to give to her, all of it, looked like proof of my supposed gambling problem. I tried to explain, but no one listened. I could not afford a good lawyer. My family would not help me. They had already decided I was guilty. The public defender assigned to me was overworked and underpaid. He advised me to take a plea deal. If I went to trial, he said I could face serious jail time. The evidence was against me. A plea deal would give me probation, keep me out of prison. I took the deal because I had no choice. 2 years of probation, a restraining order keeping me away from Stephanie, and a record that marked me as an abuser. The label followed me everywhere. It did not matter that I was innocent. On paper, I was guilty. I left Portland and never looked back. I moved to Seattle with what little money I had left. I found a tiny studio apartment in a rough neighborhood and started taking whatever work I could find. I washed dishes at a diner. I loaded trucks at a warehouse. I did landscaping, anything to survive. The first year was the hardest. I was alone in a city where I knew no one. My family had completely cut me off. No phone calls, no letters. It was like I had died. Some nights I would lie awake and wonder if it would have been easier if I actually had. The anger, the betrayal, the injustice of it all ate at me from the inside. But I refused to break. If I gave up, then Stephanie won. If I let this destroy me, then everything I had lost would be for nothing. So I kept going. I started taking online courses in carpentry and furniture design during my free time. I watched tutorials, read books, practiced whenever I could. After 2 years, I had saved enough to buy some basic tools. I started making small pieces in my apartment, simple chairs and side tables. I sold them online at flea markets anywhere I could. It was slow at first, but I was good at what I did. My father had taught me well, even if he did not know it anymore. Word spread. People started seeking me out specifically. After 5 years, I had enough money to rent a small workshop space. Nothing fancy, just a garage with good lighting and enough room for my equipment. I called my business Forge and Grain. I specialized in custom furniture, handcrafted pieces made from reclaimed wood. Each item was unique. I poured everything I had into my work because it was all I had left. My business became my identity. By year 10, I had 10 employees. By year 15, Forge and Grain was one of the most respected custom furniture companies in the Pacific Northwest. We worked with interior designers, architects, high-end clients who appreciated craftsmanship. I had built something from nothing. I had proven that I could survive. But success did not heal the wound. Every Sunday I thought about those family dinners. Every time I completed a difficult project, I wished my father could see it. The anger had faded over the years, replaced by a hollow sadness. I had moved on, but I had not moved past it. Then, 14 years after I left Portland, I met Claire at a furniture expo in Seattle. She was an interior designer, 28 years old, with an eye for quality that impressed me immediately. She stopped at our booth and spent 20 minutes examining a dining table we had made from salvaged barnwood. "This is beautiful work," she said. "The joinery is perfect. You do not see this kind of attention to detail anymore." We started talking about design philosophy, about the importance of sustainable materials, about how furniture should last generations. She placed an order for a client that same day. Over the next few months, we worked together on several projects. Claire would come to the workshop to check on progress, and we would end up talking for hours. She was different from anyone I had met. She was genuine. She cared about her work, but also about people. She did not put on an act. When she laughed, it was real. When she asked about my day, she actually listened to the answer. We started dating casually at first. Coffee after work, dinner on weekends, long walks through Pike Place Market. I found myself opening up to her in ways I had not with anyone in years. I told her about my family, about what happened in Portland. I expected judgment, or at least doubt. But Claire just listened. When I finished, she took my hand and said, "I believe you." Those 3 words meant more than she could know. 2 years into our relationship, Claire and I were talking about moving in together. We were at her apartment one evening, having dinner when she went quiet. I could tell something was on her mind. "What is wrong?" I asked. She took a deep breath. "I need to tell you something. I should have told you a long time ago, but I was scared." My stomach tightened. "What is it?" "Stephanie is my sister," she said. "My older sister." I felt like I had been hit by a truck. "What?" Claire started talking quickly, the words tumbling out. "I recognized you the day we met at the expo. I knew who you were. I had heard about you from family gossip years ago, but I did not say anything because I wanted to know the real you first." I stood up, backing away. "You have known this whole time. You have been lying to me." "I did not lie," she said, tears forming. "I just did not tell you. And there is more. Zane Stephanie did lie about everything. I know because I was there." She explained everything. 16 years ago, Claire had been 12 years old. Stephanie was her older sister, and even back then, Claire knew something was wrong. Stephanie had gotten involved in gambling online poker specifically. She had lost tens of thousands of dollars and owed money to dangerous people. Claire had overheard conversations. She had seen Stephanie practicing how to create bruises on herself, hitting her own wrist against furniture. The night before she accused me, Claire had confronted her. Stephanie had laughed it off, told her little sister not to worry about adult problems. But Claire knew what was coming. When Stephanie accused me and showed that bruise, Claire tried to tell her parents the truth. But no one believed a 12-year-old over an adult. Her parents dismissed it as sibling rivalry, a child making up stories. After everything fell apart, the stress destroyed Claire's family too. Her parents divorced. Stephanie disappeared with the money she had stolen. Claire lost contact with Stephanie for years. She changed her last name to her mother's maiden name after the divorce. When she met me at that expo, she saw an opportunity to finally make things right. She fell in love with me genuinely, but she also wanted to help me get justice. I did not know what to feel. Anger, relief, betrayal. But as I looked at Claire crying and vulnerable, I realized she had risked everything to tell me this. She could have kept quiet. We could have lived our lives and I never would have known. But she chose honesty. "I can prove it," she said. "I can prove everything." Over the next 6 months, Claire hired a private investigator. They found Stephanie living in San Diego, married to a businessman. Through careful digging, they uncovered a pattern. Stephanie had done this before to other men. She would get close to them, manipulate them, take their money, and disappear. There were at least 3 other victims we could find. Claire also found old emails and text messages from Stephanie's phone recovered from a cloud backup Stephanie had forgotten about. In those messages, Stephanie talked about her plan with a friend. She joked about how easy it was to fool my family. She bragged about the money she had taken. We took everything to a lawyer. Because so much time had passed, criminal prosecution was not possible. The statute of limitations had expired, but we could file a civil suit. More importantly, we could present the evidence to my family. Claire wrote a letter to my father, my mother, and Kevin. She included all the evidence. She explained who she was, how she knew the truth, and she invited them to our wedding. I did not know about the invitation until later. Claire wanted to give them a chance to make things right, even if I did not. That brought me back to the moment I started with. My wedding day. Claire and I stood at the altar at that vineyard outside Seattle. The ceremony was simple, intimate, surrounded by the people who mattered to us now. When I turned and saw my family at the back, my first instinct was anger. They had no right to be here. But then I saw their faces. My father looked like he had aged 20 years. My mother was crying silently. Kevin stood with his head down, unable to meet my eyes. After the ceremony, after we had said our vows and kissed and walked back down the aisle, my father approached. Claire squeezed my hand and stepped back, giving us space. Robert walked slowly, like each step hurt. When he reached me, he stopped. "Son," he said, his voice breaking, "I am so sorry. We were wrong. We should have believed you. We should have fought for you. We failed you in every way that matters." My mother came up beside him, tears streaming down her face. "We lost 16 years with you," she whispered. 16 years we can never get back. I do not expect you to forgive us. I just need you to know that we are sorry. We are so, so sorry." Kevin was the last to approach. He knelt down in front of me. "I hit you," he said, his voice thick. "I called you a liar. I turned my back on my own brother. I do not know how to live with that." I stood there, looking at the three of them, and I felt something shift inside me. The anger I had carried for so long started to crack. Not because they deserved forgiveness, but because I deserved peace. Holding on to that rage was like drinking poison and expecting them to die. "I do not hate you," I said finally, "but I cannot go back to what we were. Too much has changed. I have changed. I built a life without you. I had to. And that life is good." My father nodded. "We understand. We just want a chance. Even if it is just to know you are okay. Even if it is just an email once a year. Anything." I looked at Claire, who had given me this moment. She could have let me go on hating them forever. Instead, she gave me the choice. "We can try," I said, "but it will take time, a lot of time." "We will wait as long as it takes," my mother said. They stayed for the reception. It was awkward, painful in some ways, but it was also a beginning. Not of what we had before, but of something new, something honest. Later that night, Claire and I stood on the balcony of our hotel room, looking out over the city. "Do you regret it?" I asked her. "Inviting them." "Do you?" she countered. I thought about it. "No. I think I needed to see them one more time, to know that the choice to forgive or not forgive was mine. You gave me that." She leaned her head on my shoulder. "You gave me something too. You showed me that people can survive the worst betrayals and still build something beautiful." I thought about the journey that brought me here, the pain, the isolation, the slow climb back to something resembling a normal life. I thought about Stephanie, who I had not seen in 16 years and probably never would again. She was living her life somewhere, maybe still hurting people, maybe not. It did not matter anymore. She could not touch me. What mattered was that I had survived. Not just survived, but thrived. I had built a business I was proud of. I had found love with someone who saw me, really saw me, and chose me anyway. I had learned that family is not just blood. It is the people who stand beside you when everything falls apart. My father was right about one thing all those years ago. I did make something better than he had. Not the workshop in Portland, but my life. I made it on my own terms, without compromises, without shortcuts. Every piece of furniture I built, every client I earned, every employee I hired, it all meant something, because I had done it after losing everything. Sometimes the family you build is stronger than the one you were born into. And sometimes the person who saves you is the last one you would expect. So here is my question for you. Have you ever been betrayed by the people you trusted most? Have you ever had to rebuild your life from nothing? Drop your story in the comments below. Hit that like button if this resonated with you. Subscribe, because I share more stories about overcoming the impossible. And share this video with someone who needs to hear that survival is possible, that justice sometimes comes when you least expect it. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminded you that no matter how dark things get, you have the strength to build something better. Stay strong, and I will see you in the next one.